Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're checking out the Jimi Hendrix Signature Stratocaster. Now you can get this in white body or black. Now, I personally think this thing's a ripoff. I mean, in Canada they want $1,219.99 at Best Buy. Probably about the same average price just about anywhere in Canada, I'm sure. And in the US, a few bucks cheaper because of the currency exchange. However, I think it's a ripoff, but why? Okay, well, all you have here is really nothing more than a Stratocaster with a reverse neck and some 65 series pickups. That's pretty much about it. Oh, yes, let's not forget that nice shiny steel plate that cost about 12 cents with an embossment of Hendrix on the back and a signature apparently on the headstock as well. It's like, woo, big whoop. And how does that make it a Hendrix guitar? It doesn't. And it's strung for a right-handed player, not for a lefty. See, Hendrix was a left-handed player like myself. Okay, anybody who's watched me play guitar, actually I can play both left and right, although I am far superior on left. Okay, this is an actual real left-handed factory-built guitar. Okay, this one's made by Cort, and Fender makes left-handed guitars as well in all their series of instruments. Okay, as far as the Strat goes, like I had a Squire Stratocaster made in Indonesia. I've had Affinities before. I think I had a Bullet once too, but that's not on my channel. And I've had many other left-handed guitars by Fender, and I still have a Fender left-handed acoustic, and it won't be my last Fender, that's for sure. I really do like Fender machines, and I really don't care where the hell they're made as long as they're built right. And even the Affinity series is built really super good nowadays. Anyhow, so being that Hendrix was a lefty, all Hendrix did was he took a right-handed Strat at the time and he flipped the strings on it, and he would have also have had no choice but to reset the intonation. Okay, now whether or not he went through the trouble of recutting the nut or getting a new nut made, because I don't even know if that neck was a crescent curve or if it was a slant curved neck, okay, like slant semi-curve, or if it was a flat out straight across horizontal. But doesn't matter either way. A conversion process from a right-handed to a left or left to a right, especially on electrics, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you got to do in order to achieve that. In some cases, you might even have to replace a couple screws, especially if you're going to have your bridge sit down flat like mine does. And even on my Squire Strat that I had the bridge sitting flat down, added in an extra nerve spring for more tension. I turned the screws in to the body a couple more turns a piece to make sure that it stayed down when the guitar was in tune, okay, and that it wouldn't lift at all, except when I wanted to use the tremolo, okay, which is a rare occasion that I ever use it, because I actually find they're useless myself, but they do some kind of cool stuff once in a while, right? Anyways, so by sitting it down flat like this too, you make your string length longer. So resetting your intonation even on a proper left-handed guitar, you're going to run a little bit scarce on thread here. I mean, you're going to have lots of meat still, okay, but it's getting to that point, on a couple of your adjustments. And of course, you have to also set your saddles to the angle and curve of the neck, which is also very important too, right? And of course the nut has to be recut to make sure the strings all sit at the exact precise heights they need to in order to have proper contact with the frets so that you don't get buzzing. Now, Hendrix may or may not have had a new nut made. Who knows, okay? But the simple fact of doing a proper conversion, there's a lot to do. You could get away without doing the nut, but you're going to have a hard time playing when your fat strings are sitting up way too high, okay? You're not going to get them low enough no matter what you do, okay? Because you also have the curvature of the neck. You're going to have to set the tension on the truss rod to the height that you want for your kind of playing style. Because some guys like a high action. I like the action as low as possible without buzz, okay? And so I actually go through a lot of work just to set up a guitar the way I want it to be, okay? So out of the box is almost never happening where I don't have to touch something. And acoustics, by the way, are a whole other beast together. And I've done conversions on both acoustics and electrics over the years. Now, ever since the price came to same price either way, I just buy lefties, okay? But there are a lot of guitars out there that I still like that I cannot get in a lefty. In fact, Cort no longer makes left-handed guitars, which kind of sucks, because you know that Cort X guitar, that's under $400, and yeah, it's a really kick-butt guitar. Now, the other thing that I think I really don't like about this Strat is it weighs just a hair shy of 30 pounds. And they say in their write-up here on this thing, they talk about the specifications, right? The thing weighs 13 kilograms, which means you can play this guitar for hours standing up. 3 sacks of potatoes across your neck muscles. Yeah, you're gonna play that for hours standing up. Think about that. Not unless you got some really strong neck and back muscles, it ain't gonna happen. Okay, and that's a lot of weight to be lugging around your neck. I mean, my Cort's not a lightweight beast by any means either, and I find it after a while because of the weight, it's a little bit on you, you know. Lighter guitars are a hell of a lot nicer, and you can stand there literally for hours with a lighter guitar. So they put on a vintage style synchronized tremolo, which is nothing new. I've had those on regular brand new guitars. Same exact tremolo system, exactly the same. Okay, so to me there's even nothing vintage other than the style of it. You know, you do have a C-shaped neck. Was his a 9.5 inch radius C-shaped neck? Possibly, but I don't know for sure. There are different neck styles. You've got like a C shape, which is generally, you know, at each end they meet. Okay, so if you were to take a horizontal line across, the tip of each side of the fret bar or fret wire would meet at precisely the same location. Okay, you've also got straight horizontals, and then you've got a semi-curved slant neck style too. Now, with different styles of necks, that requires a truss rod placement to be specific because of the pulls and twists that happen. And with a reverse neck, you can't always get away with this, okay, without twisting your neck on your guitar over time, right? It will happen. It's not optional. But some necks can actually handle the reverse. It's not a big issue. 3-and-3 headstocks seem to handle the conversion to a certain point on average, but there's a few that just won't. Okay, so but there's no left-handed stringing or left-handed setup here. So how is this a Hendrix of anything? The only thing Hendrix on here is the embossed plate. They put a reverse neck on so that your tuners would be at the top. Now, that's kind of funny when you think about it. My tuners are at the top, but if I put my guitar sitting as a right-handed guitar, my tuners are on the bottom. Okay, so if you take a right-handed Strat, your tuners are on the top. When you flip it left, your tuners are on the bottom. Okay, so they've set it up with a reverse headstock. Okay, let me think. There's something still not right about this. They put a reverse headstock on so that when you're holding the guitar this way, your keys are... Yeah, that's just... It's not right. It really isn't right, is it? Think about it. Okay, you're holding this guitar as a right-handed guitar with a reverse headstock. Your keys are all along the bottom. They're on the bottom. Okay. And when you flip it this way, they're on the top for a lefty. Hendrix flipped his, so his are on the bottom. So for you righties, now your keys are on the bottom like Hendrix's were. Okay? Because now it's been set up as a right-handed guitar here only, not as a lefty. So they didn't actually take a standard one, flip it, make it a left-handed setup like Hendrix was. They didn't. So there's nothing Hendrix about this guitar, is there? Bottom line, there isn't. The signature that's on there, I wouldn't say it was an authentic signature unless they took a copy of his signature off something, in which case I hope they got permission to reuse his signature. But whatever, you know. So you've got a signature there, which may or may not be Hendrix's actual signature in his writing. You have an embossment plate on the back where the neck bolts on. Has a little picture of his on a shadow outline, because that's how they signify it's a Hendrix. And you've got some 65 series pickups. Nothing else has been done, and it's just a regular everyday right-handed guitar. So that's not Hendrix, because Hendrix is a lefty, not a righty. Okay. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a big ripoff. It's a joke, in fact. It's a laugh of craziness. Got some neat looking tuners on there too, but there's still no justifying $1,200, and there's no way really that I could even say that this is a Hendrix Stratocaster replica even of anything of his, because the simple fact is it's not even set up the way his was. His did not have a reverse headstock, for one. He had a straight right-handed normal everyday guitar with an inline 6 neck. He flipped it. He flipped his strings as well. I've looked at some of his videos. His strings were flipped, which means the intonation was also had to be reset so that the guitar could even be tuned. Whether or not he went through the trouble of the nut. Now, the nice thing about Strats is they move the nut up. It's not at the very back end. Like if you look at my chord here, the nut's at the end of the fretboard. Fender puts theirs right within the fret itself, okay, within the fretboard area. So you could easily just pop that out and flip it around, and voila. Provided you have the neck curve, which this has a C shape. So you should be able to technically get away with it. But you may not either. That's kind of an iffy thing, because each string, of course, it's at a different height. And, you know, so you may have some monkeying around to do. You may even, I don't know, have to just get a left-handed nut made, you know, or make one yourself to properly set the guitar back up 100% for proper intonating and everything. Now, you can intonate the guitar without going through the trouble of recutting a nut or flipping a nut, but you're going to have a harder time pressing on the strings on the lower portion of the neck, okay, or if you want to call this the upper portion, I don't care. I call it the lower end, but, you know. So you're going to have a harder time at that end because you're going to have too much height that you can't get rid of no matter what you do. All right? So, yeah, there's nothing Hendrix about this thing. This thing is a laugh to me. You know, and yet I've seen a few videos. People have this guitar. They're all excited and happy about it. And, of course, they're right-handed players, and it's set up as a right-handed guitar. It's not set up anything the way Hendrix was. You know, seriously. So, anyways, you be the judge, but I think it's a rip-off, so that's my judgment call on it, and I think it's a joke. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.